Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am back once again, and I'm here today to talk about Hobbs and Shaw. And the movie Hobbs and Shaw came out this past weekend with The Rock and Jason Statham starring as the two titular leads of this film. And it was an all-around solid film. It's not it's not an Oscar masterpiece or nothing, but it was a pretty good movie. It's a decent spin-off to the Fast and Furious series, which I haven't really watched since Too Fast, Too Furious, but I'm not gonna get into that. But the point is, the movie's a pretty solid film. It's a worthy spot in the universe, I'd say. I went and I enjoyed it. I'm not really like I said, I wasn't really a big fan of the backstory and the Fast and Furiouses and all that anymore. I'm not too big into the newer Fast and Furious movies. And they pretty much did a good job of just bringing you in. You meet the characters. You know that the two leads don't really like each other. Then they bond and eventually become a team towards the end of the film. I'm not going to really spoil too much of it because it's kind of on tooth and nail right there that the two become a team eventually in the film. And all around, it's a pretty solid flick. The Rock gets to flex those acting muscles of his now that he has recently developed. Because I'd say The Rock necessarily hasn't really been the best actor for his entire career. But now he's really to the point where he could really hop into his bag a bit. And you could see it in how much his skill has developed since days of Game Plan, or even in his bad days, like when he was his early days, like when he was in The Mummy Returns and like that Southland Tales or something goofy movie, one of those. But The Rock finally got to flex his acting muscles as he's the big blockbuster star and one of the highest paid actors in the world. And Jason Statham is Jason Statham pretty much. You know what he brings, you know how he does. And Vanessa Kirby did her thing as well. She was pretty good in this movie. And Roman Reigns was also in there. He had no lines, but he did his part well. It was basically just an action role or action part in there. He didn't really have any lines. But as a whole, the movie was solid. It didn't perform to a certain level, and I guess that's bad, but it still was the number one movie that came out that weekend that it came out. And they're gonna keep doing numbers. That was on like making 100 million isn't a bad weekend for any movie, because there's a lot of movies that will get number one and make like 60 some million. They're not like Hobbs and Shaw is a blockbuster, like Lion King was a blockbuster, Avengers Endgame a blockbuster, Spider-Man Far From Home a blockbuster. Pretty much anything MCU related is a blockbuster. Aladdin a blockbuster. Didn't do well because a lot of these newer Disney flicks aren't even really that good, but they're marquee big names and they're blockbusters. The blockbuster is never a flop unless it makes $100 million. Unless it makes under $100 million, then you could say it's a flop. But blockbusters are gonna do numbers. And I'm gonna close it off on that. Go see the film. It's a worthy watch. I'd suggest it. It was one of the better films of the year, I'd say, as far as quality wise. And I'll thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.